So last time, you folks started looking at the idea of imperialism and how these industrialized powers wanted to form empires all throughout the world. Now, what exactly is imperialism? Let's just do a quick little recap from last time. Imperialism is the idea of one nation dominating another one in regards to its politics, economics, cultural life, and its social factors. Now, notice the one really important thing I have to point out about imperialism. Imperialism doesn't mean that you have an absolute control over a nation or that you are in direct control of it. On the contrary, it just means that you have a lot of influence in that country, especially when it comes to its politics, economics, and cultural life. And Europeans vastly used imperialism during the 1800s to control regions in Africa, the nations of India, China, and all throughout Southeast Asia. So don't think of this as the age of colonialism, where there was a direct control from these actual European powers. There was still, in a lot of these countries, especially China and in India, there was still a central government of the native peoples there. But at the end of the day, it was nothing more than a puppet government that was being controlled by some outside European force. Now, last time when you folks had done the Ed puzzle, you had seen the different motivations as to why Europeans wanted to imperialize. And one of the most important factors, without a doubt, is the fact that they wanted these natural resources. That these Europeans were looking for these raw materials to help feed into their factories to keep business booming. And then, obviously, the best part about having an empire is the fact that you can then force feed these countries that you control your products. So you're making it cheaper, and you're manufacturing cheaper, and you're also selling it and getting guaranteed sales. So this was an economic win-win for the imperialists. Obviously, folks, a competition broke out as to who had the largest empire, who had the most amount of colonies, because obviously the more colonies you have equals the more prestige that your nation has. And nationalism definitely played a huge part in all this as well, in driving this fervor of these countries trying to create as strong of an empire as possible. Now, you can't also overlook the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that there was definitely a Christianizing factor to this as well. That a lot of these European powers wanted to Christianize and spread their quote-unquote blessings of Western civilization. So it was their religion, it was their industrialization, the technology that they were able to use that, quite frankly, these other parts of the world that had not industrialized were not exposed to yet. But today we're going to look at two other key motivations. The first of which is this idea of racial superiority justified by social Darwinism. And this other notion of strategic locations, in which basically these European powers are saying to themselves, well, we're going to take over these areas that benefits us the most, and we are going to infuse our superiority upon these people that we control. Now, here's the one thing these imperialists didn't realize, though. When we look at the idea of race, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't exist. First and foremost, you're going to notice from today's assignment that these people that believed in imperialism really wanted to push the scientific notion that imperialism exists. But there is zero empirical evidence that proves that that is absolutely the case. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, there is zero scientific proof to explain why there are different races of people. In fact, all the apparent differences that do exist amongst people are strictly phenotypes. We may be different in different, we may appear different, we may look different, but at the end of the day, folks, when it comes to genotypes, we're all the same across the board. There is no difference. So this notion that race exists is not true at all, because believe it or not, as the centuries have gone on, the definition of race has actually changed. Now, the person that's talking to you, yours truly, in 1890 would have been considered a black man, as would anyone else that is of Portuguese descent, is from southern Italy, Russian, Jewish, or any non-northern white Europeans. Would have all been considered black in the 1890s. In addition, for those of you that are Latino, that have your heritage stem from Central America or the Caribbean or from South America, that label didn't exist until the mid-1900s. The idea of a Latino was non-existent. During the time period that we're looking at right now, those people from Central, South America, and the Caribbean, most of them would have been considered white. So this kind of just shows you that at the end of the day, race is simply an idea that is constructed by human beings. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It's as simple as that. Race is nothing more than a construct that we as a society have created to do two things: belittle one group and give the other group a sense of superiority. It's as simple as that. So as you look at this today, make sure you're looking at these primary sources through that modern day lens to kind of remind you just how ridiculous these arguments truly are. Now, one of the key things that these imperialists really honed in on was this notion of social Darwinism. Now, as you know, Darwin created the theory of evolution, which looked at the notions of natural selection, survival of the fittest, and this notion and this idea of having certain characteristics that give you an advantage over others, and that being adaptability. The thing is, though, folks, people that believe in social Darwinism think that the theories of Darwin apply to society as well, and that's just not true at all. Because if the laws of nature applied to society, then we would definitely have anarchy in the streets. Because just as in the wild, if it's the stronger survives, well then, I don't have to fill in the blanks for you. It's simple as that. So this is the central problem with social Darwinism. It's trying to apply a theory that applies only to nature and put it into society. Because when Darwin created his evolution theories, he never implied them to be put into regards to human society. Now, another huge aspect of trying to back this idea of imperialism is pseudoscience. Now, pseudoscience basically means fake science. There is a belief that basically you can use science to prove racial superiority and the inferiority of certain groups. Now, an example of this was this phenomenon that took place all through up into the eve of World War II, which was basically this idea that if you could study the human skull, it could tell you characteristics about people, their intelligence levels, their ability to be creative, how barbaric they may be, so on and so forth. And in essence, the biggest problem with pseudoscience is this idea that you're looking for really simple patterns to help defend these sweeping generalizations about large groups of people. It just doesn't pan out. It just doesn't make sense. And at the end of the day, it's based off of nothing. It's, in essence, you're trying to basically create a truth out of an absolute lie. So as you look at these primary sources today, folks, you notice that there's a Google Doc called Racial Pseudoscience and Social Darwinism. What I want you to do is I want you to look at the primary sources, answer the questions that follow, and then afterwards, folks, once you're done looking at the two primary sources by Josiah Strong and Rudyard Kipling. Oh, by the way, Rudyard Kipling is the same Rudyard Kipling that wrote The Jungle Book. Have fun reading that one. But anyway, aside from that, once you're done, what I want you to do is I want you to scour the internet. And I basically want you to find an example of a political cartoon from the time period of the Age of Imperialism, and I want you to pinpoint how pseudoscience and social Darwinism are being used to prove the validity of the necessity to have the Age of Imperialism. Now, when you are done answering the questions on both primary sources and finding your cartoon and its explanation, just submit it to me, folks. There will be an exit ticket question. I'm going to give you a preview of that right now. I'm kind of hoping, just like last time, we'll have a little mini Socratic seminar stem out from it. And the central question that we're going to be looking at today is how could Darwin's theory of natural selection be used to justify European imperialism? Once again, as always, folks, if you have any questions, I'm right here on my computer. Email me, please. I'll help clarify any issues that you're having. I wish you all a great day. I wish you a great weekend. Hope you guys are safe. And for those of you that listen to this on Monday, I hope you had a great weekend and that you're ready to rock and roll today as well. Be safe. Stay strong. Know that I'm thinking about you guys. You guys are in my thoughts. Wishing you and your families nothing but the best. Stay safe. Stay sane. Stay strong. And yeah, have a good one. All right, folks. Be safe.